going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
Oscar Bevis, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Velas. A massive fight week in the capital. And I'm joined by the main man, Sahni. How are you, mate?
I'm all the better for you saying the main man. Where did that come from? What a wonderful compliment to start the interview and irritate your viewers.
When we've got Artur Beterbiev in town and Anthony Yarde, I should probably take that back. One thing I wanted to start with is you've spent quite a lot of time around Artur Beterbiev. I mean, us in the media circle, we know Anthony fairly well. Just kind of want to know what you've seen, even bits away from the camera and stuff, because I feel like he's one of them men who we see the knockouts, cold-heartedness in the ring, but there probably is a bit of a teddy bear behind all of that.
I don't know about teddy bear. I can't quite put my finger on it, Oscar. I don't know if he likes me or heavily dislikes me. I think.
Does he follow you on Twitter? That's a question.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Which is
so he might like you now, yeah.
Probably a bit of a bonus, to be honest, mate. But look, I think he's a nice guy. When I met him at Spurs for the first time, we was walking around the stadium together, and we was having a bit of back and forth, as much as you can. We had a laugh. I had a lovely selfie. Got a photo together. He asked. No, I asked. But yeah, no, he's a cool guy. He's a nice guy. And as soon as he gets in the ring, though, he's just an absolute monster. In terms of what he's like away from the ring, he's just quite cold. I'll tell you what, there was a moment at Spurs Stadium, right? So we needed him ringside to go in the ring to do the face-off with Anthony Yarde. And he was up in the stands, and he needed to get past security. And there were about 4 security guards holding him up because he wasn't allowed to get through. I just remember seeing this image of this man, had his hood up, had his hat, just staring down 4 security guards, just looking like, what are you doing? It was just like this, it was mad, and they let him through, because of course they did. 18 fights, 18 KOs, no blueprint, so you've got to let him through, haven't you? But yeah, he's all right, I like him. Just, I'm backing my man Anthony Yarde.
Yeah, I would definitely be sliding out the way if I was faced with well, I've got to interview him tomorrow morning, so hopefully he didn't see me call him a teddy bear.
Mate, I'll tell you what, he's not giving anything away. Some of the worst interviews I've ever done in my career so far have been with Artur Beterbiev. He is giving me nothing, absolutely nothing. He's been cold, and he's just not saying much, not giving much away. Cards close to the chest, language barrier probably doesn't help, but he's just not interested, mate. All he's interested in doing is knocking out Anthony Yarde. That's all he cares about.
Well, Anthony Yarde's interested in knocking him out as well, so I suppose, I guess the most interesting type of fights for people to talk about is when you're talking about who will knock who out first. We all love to dissect fights and talk about the chess match. I know it's a cliche, but there's nothing more exciting than who will hit who first and who will be on the floor first.
You've got 2 of the biggest punchers in boxing. You've got, statistically, the biggest puncher in boxing is the only world champion with a 100% knockout rate. Here's one for you. In all of their wins, Yarde and Beterbiev, the last person to see the distance was back in 2015. That's the last time in one of their wins someone's gone the distance. That was Anthony Yarde in like a 4-rounder, just couldn't get the fella out of there. Had him down, but couldn't get him out of there. So you're going to see a short fight, I think. I think you're definitely going to see a knockout. I'm hearing rumours that they've sent the judges back. They said, we don't need you. They said, go away, we don't need you, we ain't paying the money. But as far as I'm concerned, you don't need the judges. And what a fight! Even if I wasn't in any way involved with this fight, I'd just be so excited about this fight when you're just guaranteed a knockout and you've got the British lion coming through, walking towards the fire, walking towards the beast, walking towards the man that other people walk away from. I love that.
I know that he won't be hanging his hat on the fact that Beterbiev has been dropped, and obviously we all watch Callum Johnson put him on the floor. And I don't want to downplay Yarde's skill set either, but when you look at Beterbiev being 38, there is a point in people's career where it's one shot too many. Yarde's going to hit him with force at some point. Could this be kind of a combination of the right time for Anthony and the perfect timing for Beterbiev towards the back end of what has been a supreme reign?
Look, this feels like it. This is the argument, right? This is part of the analysis on why you start to make a case for Anthony Yarde. You can make a case for Anthony Yarde based on Artur Beterbiev having a storied amateur past, over 300 fights, and being 38. He just turned 38. There has to be some wear and tear on that body. There's no way that there can't be.
Even if it doesn't look like it when he's doing the pictures.
Even if it doesn't look like it, even if he looks like a beast, even if just like a few months ago he knocked out Joe Smith like it was no problem, there has to be some wear and tear. So there's that. There's also the fact that Anthony Yarde is at home. The ring, the arena that he made his pro debut in will be the same one on Saturday night. I'm sure Goodall will confirm it's the exact same ring. I don't know if he's like throwing away rings or not, but yeah, it just feels like timing. It feels like destiny, and there are attributes that give Anthony Yarde success in this fight. He is quick. He's quick to the punch, and Artur Beterbiev will be involved in trade-ups with him, just like he was involved in trade-ups with Callum Johnson. In one of those trade-ups, he got knocked down. If Anthony Yarde knocks him down, has him hurt, he can finish Artur Beterbiev.
Just one more thing on this, and for anyone who hasn't signed up to the IFL newsletter, I do, please do, because I was talking about this week. Anthony Yarde has kind of had his team dissected after the Kovalev defeat. No matter how gutsy it was, the team got dissected, the characteristics, the personalities. Same happened with the first Lyndon Arthur fight. You can call it stubborn, you can call it loyal, he's stuck with them. I'm not really a destiny person, but if he is to win them world titles with that exact same team, it is such a destiny story.
I love it. I love the story. He loves the story as well. Because obviously, he gets asked that question a lot. He got asked a lot about, are you going to change your trainer after his losses? And he's stuck with the same team. He's made a few additions here and there, but by and large, it's the same team. And I love the idea that he starts at the bottom of the mountain, or he could finish at the top of the mountain with the team that he started off with at the bottom of it. And that's something that he likes as well. The story is a beautiful story. Anthony Yarde walking into Tunde Ajayi's gym, 12 amateur fights. Well, actually, he didn't have any amateur fights at that point, but he went away and had some amateur fights. And Tunde has taken him to this point. They've grown together. And this could be the one on Saturday night. It just feels right.
Mate, I can't wait. I cannot wait for that bell to ring. Let's talk about the weekend quickly. Chris Eubank and Liam Smith. Was you not surprised with the outcome of the fight? Because despite Chris being a slight bookie's favourite, or a bit of a bookie's favourite, Liam Smith winning was not out of the impossible. But was you surprised in the manner of the defeat? We've never really seen Chris wobbled like that. So.
I was, because look, every time Eubank cuts a promo, every time he posts something cool on social media, every time he does an interview, I'm a believer, I'm a sucker for his promo lines. I thought he was going to beat Billy Joe Saunders, I thought he was going to beat George Groves, and I just thought he'd beat Liam Smith as well, even though on paper you just think Liam Smith, former world champion, like a proper world champion, he's seen it all. It's not like he's looking like he's on the slide particularly either. Liam Smith should do it. But I was still so shocked to see Eubank like that, sort of dropped so heavily and so unsteady on his feet. Still the warrior in him went after him. I love that as well. But it was a shocking result and a big win for Liam Smith. But yeah, you're right though. It shouldn't be a shocking result. We shouldn't have been so surprised. And the fact that we were is just really down to how well Chris Eubank Jr. sells himself.
Yeah, so true. Got to talk about Anthony Joshua. I know you've said a few things on different interviews kind of about Joshua that have done the rounds in the boxing fraternity. It looks like he's going to fight Jermaine Franklin now. Just kind of your take on that fight. Took Dillian Whyte right to the wire. Some said Dillian, some said Jermaine. So there's definitely a good fighter in Jermaine Franklin. Yeah,
look, I had Dillian Whyte winning that fight. I think Jermaine Franklin is an excellent fight for Anthony Joshua's development. I think that's what Eddie Hearn said. They wanted to make sure they chose the right fight for his development. So hopefully this helps with his development, his mindset, and he needs to get his confidence back. And hopefully a good performance against Jermaine Franklin, if it is going to be Jermaine Franklin, gives him enough confidence and he feels developed enough to fight Dillian Whyte in the summer in the big one.
Obviously there is potential when you look at the Fury-Usyk-Joyce situation that Joshua could be frozen out for a certain period of time. But when you've got someone who is of the name and sort of stature that Anthony Joshua holds, is it always kind of if he does win against Jermaine Franklin and then fights Dillian Whyte, is it always going to be a matter of time before he's in with a Fury, Usyk or Joyce, just because he holds that sort of stature, doesn't he?
I don't think that he's the sort of person that you really freeze out. I think that many world champions would give him a voluntary defence because he is a star attraction and a very beatable star attraction. Let me put it this way. If Daniel Dubois, if they said to him, Daniel, you can pick anyone in the world as a voluntary, do you think he's going to be like, oh, not Anthony Joshua? He would jump at the chance to make a voluntary defence of his regular title against Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury tried to defend his WBC title in a voluntary against Anthony Joshua. I'm sure Usyk wouldn't mind putting his belts on the line against Anthony Joshua. He's a star attraction, you make a lot of money, and you probably win the fight. Why wouldn't you do it?
to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light. Yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.